It is that time again. Another quick review. John out here with you. Facebook.com/TBUGunslinger. Twitter @JohnReinott. And as always, catch any of the sports topics at Sports Day in the D. And let me know what you think. This is one of those throwbacks, if you will. Sonic Mania Plus. Now, let's go through this really quickly here, and then we'll talk about the game. This is about a 15-minute clip, so give you a little bit of a history lesson on Sonic, give you a little bit of the intricacies in the game, and I'll let you know what I think about it. So, when Sonic the Hedgehog launched initially in 1991, not making any blast processing jokes here, I was born in 87, so when I initially played Sonic the Hedgehog, I was too young to decide whether I should get a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis. Thankfully, I was given one of those consoles. I got a Sega Genesis from my grandma. Sonic the Hedgehog was the launch game that came with it, and I enjoyed it, not only playing it at 4 years old, but it was one of those games as you can go back to from time to time and realize how frantic and fast the action was to be able to run and jump around with delight. The stage design was pretty cool. It was just a quick game. It was a fun action platformer, and you could see that the success would easily be built upon it. In fact, the mid-90s was pretty good with the Sonic series, because the following year many consider to be one of the best games in the franchise, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in 92, introducing Tails. Very good game. Everything you want on the sequel. Adding the spin dash, adding some more new areas, adding some more nuances and everything else into the game. Probably one of the best to ever be released. And in the mid-90s, you have, to go alongside with that, if you put your Sega Genesis on life support, you have Sonic CD in 93. A lot of people like that one. Didn't get a chance to play that myself because I never owned a Sega CD or 32X, any of those spin-offs. And then 94, you had the culmination of the final acts of the Sonic the Hedgehog series in Sonic 3, and then the adaptation of what would be introduced and to a frenzy to a lot of you is Sonic & Knuckles, which has a lock-on capability at the top, which allows you to manifest and change a little bit Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic Spinball, to be able to put Knuckles the Echidna in the game and change the way the game is played and some of the other stuff. So it was a pretty cool, not only tease to throw in there, but it was a good nuance to go back into the games and experiment them and see how they change. And it was really cool. So within the mid-90s, the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise was flying high, so to speak. And then you get into the Dreamcast perspective, $99.99, it's thinking, and boy was it, because Sonic Adventure was a pretty damn good spin-off in its own right. And then we go through the dark ages of Sonic itself. I'm not talking about all of the Olympic Games and all of the spin-offs like that, but getting in the mid-2000s and the launch on the Xbox 360 and PS3, you get Sonic 06. And that is one of the worst, even though it's called Sonic the Hedgehog, people will consider it Sonic 06. The worst games, not only in the series, it is the worst game of the series, one of the worst games ever made. And just culminated with glitches, and you can see what they're trying to do with some of the frantic action, but everything was just taken away from piss-poor camera angles, often awful action sequences, just going around town and doing these RPG elements, all these things that are totally foreign to what makes the series great and completely just F it up, so to speak. So, to be able to have a game like Sonic Mania come out, now we actually get into it here, is one of the most important things and one of the most shocking things I think I would have ever seen in my lifetime, because I was ready, like a lot of you, to declare this series dead. You know, it was just going to be forever one of those ones that's just going to live off in spin-offs. Sega would never kill off the franchise entirely, but Sonic as it used to be would be gone. And then in 2016, you get the release of Sonic Mania, and from one of those incredible developers there, and published with Sega. I think it was Christian Whitehead and Sega and all the other studio and team that worked on it. You get an absolutely fantastic Sonic game. And on the back of the Sonic Mania Plus disc release, GameSpot coins it as the best Sonic game ever. And it's hard to argue with that point, because it relives all of the great stages, gameplay, and design that you've had from the first 4 Sonic games on the Genesis, being 1, 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. And it also introduced some new stages, one of the ones you're seeing here in Studiopolis, that was just a lot of fun. And the character design and everything else you notice is brought up a little bit, not only with the eye-popping graphics in the consoles that we have now. It's more of a 32-bit style. More of those ones that you've noticed if you ever played Knuckles Chaotix on the 32X. It's more to that art style, and it is a lot of fun. It contains all the great level design, the fast action, the back and forth. You also get, in addition with the Mania mode, in Sonic Mania Plus, you get the addition of the Encore mode, which introduces Mighty and Ray, and one of those character swapping that you can go through, not all the time, you don't have to do that, but you get character swapping, which changes level design and stages, just like when Knuckles the Echidna was introduced to Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. So it changes that a little bit, and so Mighty is the red version, and if you do a double jump with Mighty, he does a slam down into the ground, and Ray, one of the golden characters that you'll end up seeing here, has more of a flying type like Knuckles would, but instead of going left to right the way that you can start up and then he slowly just moves down, you can kind of use Ray like a kite. So if you go left to right, it can go down and up and try to gain more speed in that, so you can essentially fly a little bit across the stage. What I've noticed within all of these characters is more of the same in terms of what Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles provide, but Mighty and Ray are also welcome additions that seem like they fit in well with the fantastic level design. It's been very enjoyable. Now, with Sonic Mania in general, there are some of you, including myself, that this is not the best Sonic game that's ever released as far as this type is concerned. Even though with all of the games in the franchise, I would say this is still the best Sonic game released. But now we're going through and talking about level design and stages. And in the stages, the one drawback that I would say about Sonic Mania is that, like, this Studiopolis is great, Press Garden is great, the Titanic Monarch is one of those mazes. A lot of people can hit and miss on that, whether or not they like it. In fact, when I played that final stage getting throughout the game, I timed out several times because it was just a little bit of a... You could figure out the maze after you play it through a couple of times, but it takes a little longer. That the new stages in this game, they're all great, but there's only like 4 of them to talk about. Everything else is brought in between Green Hill Zone, Oil Ocean, Chemical Plant from Sonic 2. In the Encore mode, before you actually get in to start playing it, there's a tease of Angel Island from Sonic 3. That one was great, and then it actually isn't a full-fledged stage. But instead, like I'd mentioned, you're talking about Green Hill Zone, Oil Ocean, Chemical Plant, Hydro City, Lava Reef Zone, a lot of the stuff from 1, 2, 3 in Sonic and Knuckles. But when you get Mirage Saloon and some of these other ones in there, Press Garden, Studiopolis, all these new stages and designs are absolutely fantastic. And I can speak for everybody, I think, when I say tone down a little bit with the throwback stages and bring in some of these new ones, because these new ones provided some of the stuff that we've never seen in the games like this between 1, 2, 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. They were absolutely fantastic. So I think a lot of it, especially if you're going to introduce the Encore mode as they did, go ahead and bring in more of the new stages, because they were absolutely fun to play. And my only gripe about the game is that I wish more of the new stages could have been included rather than having so many throwbacks. But be that as it may, Sonic Mania is still a fantastic game. If you're brand new to the series, you're going to absolutely love it too. It's one of those games that you can get for $30 now on disc with the Plus mode. If you're still one of those downloadable types, I believe Sonic Mania Plus is now also in the Xbox One, Nintendo eShop, and PS4 store, that you can go ahead and get it for the same price point. I ended up getting the disc release, which was $30 when I ended up buying it. Maybe it's a little less now. I got that just a couple of months ago, and then I said I would do a short review because it wasn't a very long game. You can complete it in about 10 hours. But the disc release also comes with a collectible art book and a reversible cover that also looks like Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles inspired art. Very, very cool. Even for the art book alone, just to be able to flip through it and see some of that stuff, I think it'd be worth the price point to have this game on disc, because this game is fantastic. And some of the other stuff that you get to see, like the extra art, is just a nod to what the game has been. So here's what you get. As you see me cycling through some of the stages here, you also get a time attack, which I'm going through some of these stages so you get a chance to see what they're like. And then a competition mode like Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic & Knuckles, which you race to the finish and do some of the other stuff like that. So this is Ray that you're seeing on screen right now, and you'll kind of see a little bit of the flying type in the new Press Garden Zone. So you do get a little bit of time attack, some competition, and some of the other stuff flying in there. And you can also play, if you have, Tails or some of those other characters, a second controller can operate the partner character, so you can run through the game and have fun. This is one of those games too that you can also play with kids, play with a significant other, just enjoy each other's company and play the game. It is a lot of fun on that respect too. There really isn't much to say as far as negative in Sonic Mania. Like I already mentioned, maybe more new zones instead of some of the throwback stuff, but I mean, other than that, you might gripe about Titanic Monarch and the final stage of that could have been maybe a little bit better. There's a lot of timeouts in there, but really the difficulty of the game is not very much as far as the main campaign and everything else goes. Like I said, it's just about 10 hours. And then when you get to the rings, after you get the checkpoints, get about 40 rings, you do collect the blue spheres, just like Sonic & Knuckles, stuff like that, Sonic 3D Blast, whether or not you like that. That is all included in the game, and if you end up getting all the rings and the blue spheres, you get gold medallions as far as just signals of progress to say that you did it and all that. And that's one of those things I can honestly tell you guys, very, very difficult to do. Maybe some of you will not like those sphere collecting things. I certainly did not. I never liked those when I was a kid. But the new stages, in order to get the Chaos Emeralds, were great. I did like when you get through the big ring, you have to go explore a little bit, which is a little bit different in Sonic Mania. Kind of takes away from maybe you want to turn off the timer after you unlock that ability to do that. You can unlock ability to change. There's a full debug mode and a lot of other stuff like that. But when you get to the big ring, it says catch the UFO, to get the Chaos Emeralds. And what you will do is you will get those blue spheres and coins to make you faster. You stay along the path. You don't get stuck on the grass and that. They're able to keep your speed. And then you eventually catch the UFO and you collect the Chaos Emeralds. When you get all the Chaos Emeralds, you get Supersonic and all the other stuff like that. Good luck doing that, because I was only able to find a couple of those throughout my playthrough, and that's one of those things that you can definitely go back if you're a completionist to try to go ahead and get all of the Chaos Emeralds, to get all of the medallions and things like that. Don't make that your life's dependency, because it's very, very difficult. And just take the game, enjoy it for what it is, and be glad, like as I am and probably a lot of us out there, that Sonic was able to return in this kind of form after just the gross mistreatment that it's gone through within the last few years. I would say probably last decade, since Sonic 06. The series has not been treated with the respect that it deserves. Again, Sega would never kill it, but it's nice to see something like this come back and grace systems and all platforms and be something that's not only fun to play but also very family friendly and just a nod to the series as it used to be. This is John Ott signing off for Sonic Mania and the review, and I hope that you guys enjoy. I hope that you get a chance to play it and let me know what you think, because this is one of the best games that's ever been released, and it was a lot of fun to play, and it was a lot of fun to get a chance to go through and run through it again. Have a good one, guys. I will talk to you again soon. I have a Yakuza 0 review in the pipeline, and that's coming up shortly. Peace.